Sweet. So guys, welcome to the webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to have a run through a little bit of a talk from myself about what's going on Koh Tao, a little bit from Neil, our PADI regional manager, about what PADI in general is doing right now, and then a little bit from my colleague Gary, who runs our conservation efforts here, and some of the new programs we've had the time to set up during COVID. So while we do the webinar, we just ask that you please keep your microphones off so we don't pick up your dogs barking or your kids yelling at you, anything like that. And if you have any questions, please type them in the box and we will go through as many of them as we can at the end. If you do have any sort of more in-depth questions or anything occurs to you later, my email is listed on the screen right now. Please send me an email and I'll get back to you with any more information that you need. And so what we're going to be looking at, Neil's going to take us through the professional path and how to actually become an instructor or a dive pro. And then, like I said, I'll take over kind of what's going on, what's happening on the ground here on Koh Tao. So that's Neil. Here's a prettier picture of him. You can kind of compare and contrast as you'd like. And Neil, we'll let you take it away.
Cool, thanks very much, Julian. So as Julian said, my name's Neil and I'm the PADI Regional Manager for Thailand. I started diving back into professional courses back in 2002. And I think this slide up here, what that kind of meant to me when I first started traveling was a bit of a contact story. So when I first started traveling, I was expecting to go to Thailand and hack through jungle to get to a dive center. And I remember moving to Egypt, and I was expecting in Egypt not to get the best picture of the pyramids from the second floor of McDonald's. I was expecting to be on camel ride for 2 days, and then I'd come across these temples. And I suppose what kind of dawned on me quite early on in my traveling was that there isn't that many places that have been untraveled. Even the places that I did go to, which were jungle trekking, I was saying good morning to people as I kind of walked past. So it almost felt, I was almost a little bit disappointed. And it was when I then took up scuba diving and going underwater for the first time that I realized that I'm really exploring. I'm really actually going to places that very few people have actually been before. And just recently in my career, I've taken up tech diving, which is now taking me to places where maybe nobody's been before. And I find that what's really, really cool about that is every day that you're going out and you're maybe teaching diving or you're guiding diving, you may be coming across species or interactions that have never been seen before, which I find absolutely awesome. And I'm sure all of you guys sat here are all probably adventurers. I don't know if you're at home and you want to do this at home, or whether you're dying to get out to Thailand, or wherever you're going. That adventure aspect of being underwater for me is so much more because of the fact that it hasn't been dived so much. So that's kind of my just initial opening with how I'm feeling about what I do, and hopefully you feel the same. And Julian, if you could just change that slide for me. Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little game. So what I'd like everybody to do is close their eyes. So everyone close their eyes. Thanks, Julian. And I'd like you to think of your favorite dive sites. Okay, so picture your favorite dive site in your head. And now what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get to deflate your BCD and start descending down underwater. As you start going down underwater, you're going to start seeing maybe those vibrant corals, and they're blowing you away. You turn around to your buddies, if they could see you smiling, you'd have a big smile on your face, and I'm sure they would as well. As you then turn around, a whale shark or a manta ray just starts gliding past and gives you a little wink as you go by. Or that wreck starts to appear out of the gloom that maybe you haven't dived before, or maybe is the best visibility you've had ever. You turn around, you see that you've got a nice full tank of air, everyone's having a great time, And it's just one of the best experiences that you've ever had. As you then slowly get lower in air, you start to slowly surface up. You can really hear your breathing nice and slow. You do your safety stop, and then you come up to the surface. Fill up your BCD. You take your mask of regulator act. It's nice and flat. Now, what is the first feeling that you have? And I want you to think of that feeling. Now, when I did this with a friend of mine the other day, I said I was elated. And my wife said she was disappointed. And I said I was elated because it was absolutely fantastic. And I can imagine myself being there. And my wife was disappointed because she was now at the surface and she wasn't actually on that dive. And I think all of us, if you did have your eyes closed and you got into that a little bit, those feelings that we have as a dive professional, you can have them every day, which is one great positive about being a dive pro. But something that does tend to take over that feeling is when you become a pro and you start taking other people to have those exact same experiences that you have. And I think that's definitely something that took over in my career, especially if you're at a similar dive site, is the fact that you can change people's lives. You know, you can turn that fear into courage, and you can really see that the look on their face after you've just done an epic dive with them as a great experience to share. And that's something that really, really rocks my world as a dive instructor, and then as a course director was those feelings. And as a dive pro, they're feelings that you can get to share with the divers that you take, which is very, very cool. And there's a fantastic quote on there that life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. And I'm sure as divers all listening in, you've had moments like that yourself as well. So we can just swap over the slide. So I suppose the next slide is looking at how can you make that happen? How can you do, I suppose, what we've done in our lives? And that is basically taking that next step. Now, I don't know what level everybody is at the moment. That could be maybe doing your rescue diver course to get onto your dive master. Maybe that's doing your dive master course to get onto your instructor development course, or maybe you're already there already. You're just waiting for things to open up to get that course done. And either way, it can be a little bit frustrating at the moment if you're unable to do that. But there are some things that you can do right now from home using some new e-learning products that we've recently brought out. But first of all, I'm not going to talk about the rescue course. I'm just going to talk about the Dive Master course. If you're not one already, so the Dive Master course is your first professional rating. And what this will do is certify you to take already certified divers on a guided tour around the dive site. Okay, so you'll learn how to guide dives and give briefings and keep people safe. You'll learn also how to assist instructors. So if an instructor, say the visibility drops a little bit on a particular day, and the instructor needs somebody who's a professional to help them because maybe that they need a little bit more assistance, then you can help out with instructors. So you learn how to do that. You also learn how to do instructor or dive master conducted programs. One of those is maybe doing a review of a student's skills because they haven't dived for a while. Or maybe you'll be doing a DSD skill circuit if you're a leader. What you'll also do during that course, and as a dive professional, as a dive master, is you'll get to experience the thrill of leading and guiding divers. And as we had our eyes shut before, I'm not sure if your eyes were shut and you thought of an experience with a non-diver, or whether you had an experience with a diver. And if you are going to some of these cool places like the Red Sea, where I worked before, like the Maldives, like places out here in Thailand, some of those experiences are absolutely fantastic. And if you are stuck somewhere, we can't wait to see you out there having those experiences. So if you are dive masters already, or if you haven't done, or you have got from another organization, for example, and you want to come and do your PADI open water scuba instructor, what this course teaches you is it teaches you how to teach everything that you just learned in your dive master course. So on your Divemaster course, for example, you'll be taught a skill circuit on how to demonstrate those skills. As an instructor, you then get taught how to teach those skills to a new diver and how to spot problems, mend those problems, and get that person to a level of mastery that they can then go out and scuba dive. So it's very, very, very rewarding. But it really helps you develop your own diving skills on the IDC. You'll also be expected or taught how to do presentations on those particular skills. You'll also be taught how to organize and lead groups of people, whether that's looking at a pool space or scheduling a course. And during this course, we're not expecting everybody to know what they're doing, because obviously there wouldn't be a need for the course if they did. So it's 100% developmental. You're going to be going into something you've never done before. So there's a lot of feedback that you get from Julian as the course director, and you'll see that that progression through those days on that IDC are really kind of big steps that you're taking, but you'll see that achievement happen pretty quickly. To do this, okay, it's two ways. You can either do the online presentations via the e-learning product that we have. You can do those with Julian via sort of webinar, okay, or you can do it face-to-face. The new products that we have available allow people to do that online training, which at the moment we're seeing becoming more and more popular with people, obviously, that are in areas that can't come out here at the moment. So have a look at that e-learning, obviously, have a chat to Julian afterwards, and he can maybe show you a couple of slides from that particular product. Now, after you've done those IDC segments with a course director, okay, they'll make sure that you're completely trained and ready. But what you'll then need to do is a 2-day instructor examination. And that will be with a PADI examiner. And what will happen is that PADI examiner will come along and just check that you know everything that the course director has said that you know. So more often than not, the course directors are a little bit nervous than the candidates because they've said that you're okay. So it is a little bit of pressure, but you will I'm an examiner myself, so we try and make it as relaxed as possible, because we're there and we know that you kind of know what you're doing. But that will be something that that you will go through as an evaluation 2-day program. And at the end of that, once you're successful, then we can give you that big shake of the hand and a massive congratulations and welcome to the family. And we welcome you into being a PADI instructor, joining the family and experiencing pretty much what we've been doing for the last sort of 15, 17 years. So hopefully we'll see some of you on those courses, and maybe hopefully in the near future, I'll be seeing you on that instructor exam.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for that, Neil. Can confirm you are a very kind examiner. You've definitely examined a few of my candidates before. Well, yeah, this is me. Here's another picture of me. And let's get into what we are doing here on Koh and what the options are for you once you have passed that instructor exam, right? Because that's what we're doing it for, is to go on and get those experiences that Neil's talked to us about. So I am here on Koh and I work at the dive center Simple Life, but I actually am part of a larger organization, which is Mark Soroka's company, which is the Dive Careers Network. And as you can see, we are currently training instructors through a lot of countries around the world, and that really is kind of our biggest selling point and our biggest benefit is when you do our training with us, you get access to our entire network. And we've had a lot of success finding people work pretty much anywhere they're looking for it in the world. I know even during a pandemic, myself, I'm constantly getting requests from dive centers around the world that are short of instructors. Hey, you've got your network. Can you please find me an instructor? And these spots are filling really quickly. In terms of PADI itself, obviously we are the world's largest scuba training organization. That is for a reason. We really set the industry standard. And in terms of global opportunities, again, there are PADI shops anywhere there's water in the world. There's always somewhere to work. We train about 1 million divers a year. So there's always opportunities with PADI. Like I mentioned, with Dive Careers, we actually have our own internal employment boards as well. So when you are looking for work as a new instructor, or looking for a change as a more experienced instructor, you do have the PADI website that posts thousands of jobs a year, but you also have our Dive Careers employment board, which is a really kind of smaller, narrower thing where people know what the level of instructor we produce is. They make posts there because they want one of our guys, and we get hundreds of postings in that group each year. There are a few different routes that your career as a professional diver can go. The sort of most obvious one is working in a tropical dive resort somewhere. We have a picture of our resort at Simple Life Divers here, just down the road. And this is really customer service based. Teaching, leading. The positives are obviously being outdoors and everybody's happy, right? Everybody's on holiday, everyone's having that best time of their lives, and you get to be involved in that every day. Challenges of this job, though, are that you have to do so many different roles. You know, you are on almost 24/7, looking after people, keeping people happy, equipment care as well, super important, and lots of conservation projects to get involved in as well. Other options are working on liveaboards. Okay, these are kind of those chances to see some of the most beautiful dive sites in the world. But, you know, living and working on a boat, less privacy. It can be long days, but definitely a really cool thing that I hope every dive instructor gets a chance to experience liveaboards sometime in their career, just for the pure quality of diving. And again, within our Dive Careers Network, we do have a cruise director training program that we run out of Cadillac with the Manta Queen fleet. So if this is something you want to take your diving career in that direction, you can definitely really give yourself a head start in that respect. Okay. Working with equipment as well can often be a really lucrative way to get into the dive industry. One of my friends just moved back to Texas, and he right away got a job snapped up because he was a technician. It's a really sought after thing in the industry. And here on Koh Tao, you do have the opportunity to become a certified technician with both Aqualung and Scuba Pro, if that's something you'd like to do to sort of pad your resume. Cool. So at Simple Life, we do have a team of 3 of us that conduct the professional training. We have Isabel and Lucas Levy, who are our Divemaster training managers. They do an exceptional job. I love getting Divemasters from them for my instructor courses. They're always super well prepared and really, really easy to teach. So great couple there that run our Divemaster program. And what does it actually look like once you're here? So we do have unlimited diving during your training. Obviously with COVID, we've had to pull back a few of our boats, but typically we're doing 4 dives every single day. Gorgeous facilities, and a really busy dive center, which is what you want when you're starting out, right? We do keep our groups small. We do train in groups of under 4 people, so that when you are assisting and you are learning, you do get to see really good quality training. There's always things going on around you. We teach in English, French, German, Spanish, and Portuguese. If that's a language you speak, great, add that in. We love having people assisting on courses and learning in those languages. Or if you speak in languages on that list, please come help us out. Bring in some international customers for us. It is quite a flexible schedule as well, especially during the Divemaster. There's lots of time to explore the island. We're constantly running things. We have a bar on site that we run quiz nights and karaoke nights and graduation parties. Koh Tao pretty much has anything you're looking for. Whether you are maybe a heavier partier, there's definitely that side of things if you want it. But the hiking here is fantastic. There is rock climbing, windsurfing. You do get a lot of time to really explore a true tropical paradise. Then when it comes to the IDC, then you're a little bit less flexible. You get stuck with me for 2 weeks. We are flexible within those 2 weeks where we really get to focus on which parts you need more or less time on. We could run the whole program in a lot less time than that, but we do like to have the 2 weeks to make sure you guys feel confident and prepared when it comes to those instructor exams that Neil was telling you about before. We have great classrooms on site. We've got 2 pools, and we can shore dive. So even if boats aren't going, or boats aren't going at times that are convenient to us, I can always get you guys in the water for extra skill practice, extra workshops during your instructor course. And one of the coolest things we have is that we do, as part of you becoming an instructor, you also become a first aid instructor as well, which is a really cool skill that you can use anywhere in the world outside of diving. Okay, it is internationally recognized, the training you receive, and some of my candidates have actually ended up making way more money back home teaching first aid courses than they ever did in diving. So it really does give you skills that are applicable in other aspects of life. Beyond that, once you are an instructor, as I know some of you listening in are, there are lots of other things you can do beyond that to increase what you are allowed to teach and train. Some things we really like doing here at Simple Life is the Adaptive Techniques course, which is a course that helps instructors and dive masters better deal in adapting their techniques and their skills to better work with divers that have physical or mental limitations, trying to make diving as accessible as possible. And then we have your sort of standard courses of deep diving, wreck diving, basically anything you want. We can certify you as an instructor for that as well. And for those of you that have been in this industry for a while already, we do, of course, have the staff instructor program as well, where you can actually then start helping out in the training of new instructors. And I know for me, that was the most rewarding course I've taken. You basically become like an assistant course director, and really, really good time starting to share your knowledge with new instructors as well. Now, one of the biggest things that we've had a lot of time to work on and we're really proud of at Simple Life, during this pandemic, we haven't sat on our hands and felt sorry for ourselves. We have really tried to dig into what we can do with our time to make a difference environmentally. We've always had lots of dive site and beach cleanups. We have an adopted dive site that we regularly clean and do the data reporting on to Project Aware. And we have actually brought in a new initiative we're very excited about, which is called the ALotMeant program, which I'm actually going to bring in my colleague Gary to tell you all about just now. Gary, welcome to the stage.
Okay, cool. Cool. So next. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yep, so hi everyone. I'm Gary at Simple Life Divers. I know some of you guys don't know. So for the last year and a half, we've been running a coral restoration project, which we've called ALotMeant. So a bit of background on this. You probably all know that coral reefs occur naturally throughout the Earth's tropical zones around the equator. So they originated in the South Pacific and then have spread out from there. And so, as Julian said, we're based on Koh Tao, this tiny island in the Gulf of Thailand. And there's coral reefs throughout the Gulf. But like a lot of Asian countries, Thailand's starting to develop quite rapidly. So we've got rising population and industrialization, more agriculture and lots of fishing. And so all of this is damaging the corals. And on top of that, the water quality in the Gulf is not as good as it used to be. So corals are becoming more threatened. And if we look more specifically about the case of Koh Tao, Koh Tao has been popular with tourists for about 20 years. And so during that time, we've had more and more buildings being created on the island. So we get surface water, like wastewater runoff, into the sea, which is not good. On top of that, we've got lots of tourist boats operating and many snorkelers and divers. And even Thai fishermen are coming in and putting nets around the island. So all of this is causing damage to the coral reefs around Koh Tao. Now, the Thai government know about this, and us as local dive operators are aware of this too. So whilst COVID has disrupted tourism, we're using this as an opportunity to launch a reef restoration project. So what I've done is put together a quick video which gives you a bit more detail. So let's try and do that.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we're at Simple Life Divers, which is situated on this tiny island called Koh Tao. And our dive centre is located on the west side of the island in an area called Pirie. Each day we're teaching all PADI dive courses from beginner right through to Divemaster and Instructor. As I explained, with global warming and increasing population and industrialization in Thailand, plus the impact of tourism and having more humans around the reefs, we start to see some damage to the corals. What that means is that we can end up with scenes like this, which we really don't want to see. And on top of that, we see increasing amounts of debris in the ocean, such as plastics and fishing nets. Moving into 2019, 2020, along comes coronavirus and has completely shut down tourism in Thailand. During this time, we've partnered with the Thai government to put together a reef restoration project. Now, the way that it works is that we get our team to build structures which we deploy on the seabed. So our team of volunteer divers then go and collect damaged coral fragments, normally about 5 centimeters in length. We then attach these coral fragments to the underwater structures, and the idea is that we're giving an ideal environment for the corals to grow and hopefully over time become a healthy coral reef. Alright, so of course the important thing is, does it work? Okay, so here we're looking at a group of structures which we deployed on the seabed just off the natural reef in Pirie. Onto these we transplanted staghorn and elkhorn coral fragments of about 5 centimeters in length, and these were put down in August last year. And already, in a relatively short space of time, you can see that the corals are growing really well and looking healthy, which is good news. I only took a small underwater camera, so the footage is a bit grainy, but you get the idea. The other cool thing is that where there was only sand on the seabed before, not only do we have corals growing now, but also marine life is starting to move in. So we're seeing lots of red-breasted wrasse, hermit crabs, shrimps and gobies, damselfish, like all sorts moving in. So it's really working well. And we expect that this will continue to increase as time passes. So in a relatively short time frame, we're really happy with the progress that we see so far. And one other important consideration. Here in the Gulf of Thailand, our highest temperatures are usually during April and May. And sea temperatures can climb as high as 30 degrees, which puts a lot of stress on the corals and can cause bleaching. But you can see from this dive, which I made in June, the corals have come through that hot period really well and looking really healthy. So we're very happy with the progress so far.
The bottom line is the project's in its infancy, but so far it's looking really good. We've planted small coral fragments in August last year, and they're already growing really well, and marine life's moving in. So we're very happy with what's been accomplished so far. And then the exciting thing is we've just put in our second year proposal to the government, and it's been approved. So we're expanding our reef restoration area, and we're diversifying to plant different kind of corals as well. So we're gonna grow the project over time and keep on going. So if you do come to Koh Tao and you take your Divemaster and Instructor training, then I'd strongly recommend that you make some time to get involved in the reef restoration as well. It looks great on your CV, plus it's just a cool thing to be involved in. So, do try to get involved. And if you're on Instagram, check out We Are ALotMeant. So we're posting on there with photographs and videos from the reef project, so you can keep up to date with what's going on. And right now, our team has just put a competition on there, so you can win diving stuff. So go on there and follow it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Gary. Ugh. Cool. Sorry, guys. Not sure why the sound wasn't working on the video there, but oh well. Cool. So in terms of when you guys can get started on this, you can start e-learning for any of the courses we mentioned. Doesn't matter what your level of diving is right now. Even if you've never been in the water before, you can start doing the classroom work online before you even get here. And especially for becoming an instructor or dive master, there is a lot of stuff to get done. So I really would suggest doing that. If that's something that interests you, send me an email. I'll give you a total outline of everything you need to know. We don't really list prices now because every package is unique, right? Every diver comes with a different level of experience, a different end goal. So we really try to tailor exactly what you need and what you want to get out of your program. In terms of actually arriving here in Thailand and getting started, your dive master starts whenever you're ready, okay? And typically takes between 6 to 8 weeks to really make sure you get a proper level of experience out of it. And if you are ready to become an instructor, you can see our next 4 dates listed here too, of when exactly those are starting. So from any of those dates there, within about 2 weeks, you could be a certified instructor, completely ready to go. Cool. So I think we'll open it up now to anyone that does have any questions. If there's anything you guys would like to know more about, you can ask myself or Neil, or maybe even Shelly. If you've noticed the blonde girl that was in half the photos throughout this presentation, that is Shelly, who is sitting on here listening. Hi, Shelly. And she can give you the kind of perspective of what it's like to be a student too, if you guys want. So does anyone have any questions? Silence. Love it.
If you guys, it's something that I'll throw in there that I didn't mention before. What's happening globally at the moment that PADI's seeing is that anywhere in the world that has a domestic market, like Australia, for example, New Zealand, I'd imagine the UK is going to go the same way. Any kind of countries like that, what we're seeing that they're doing way better than they've ever done before, and that's because people can't go traveling, right? But what that's actually meaning is that there are more and more people learning how to dive domestically than they ever have. So when tourism does open up, we are expecting a massive boom of demand, and we think that the demand will come from instructors. We will need more and more instructors and dive masters, because many of those people have had to, unfortunately, go home and pick up a career they used to have, or choose a new career, because they just haven't been able to, to exist out here in Southeast Asia. So as Southeast Asia starts to open up, there is going to be a demand. So if you look at, your initial outlay and what it's going to cost you, it's always about return on investment. How long is that going to take me to make it back? Well, we're kind of predicting that. I mean, we obviously can't make too far predictions ahead. We want it to happen now, but pockets are opening up, so there will be big opportunities, I think, for new instructors and dive masters in the coming months and years, for sure.
I think, Brian, did you have a question there? I saw your mic come on for a second.
That was actually, that really touched on the question I was going to have, which was just what kind of careers and stuff like that is going to look like with the developing global pandemic situation. And right. I think that really touched on it. Yeah, because especially as like someone who's currently a healthcare worker, that's kind of like something I'm really aware of, but that definitely, yeah. answered that question for me.
Absolutely.
What are those areas? Oh, sorry, Julian.
Yeah, and I can give you just a couple personal examples on that. First of all, we are super conscious about the safety of bringing diving back here on Koh Tao. We are currently in the middle of our vaccination program here. We're at about 74% have had our first shots now. So we are really, really doing well on that. I know my second shot is scheduled for early September. I think yours is too, Neil. Yep. So we have a really robust vaccination program rolling out here that is part of us, being confident enough to safely say that it's coming back and that it is, ethical for us to be encouraging people to come back here. But yeah, certainly the domestic markets are growing, and a lot of my better instructors, unfortunately, I don't think I'm getting them back. Just within the last 2 weeks, I've had 4 instructors I've worked with in the past that I have written recommendation letters for jobs in the US, and they've all got those jobs. And I don't see them really leaving those jobs and coming back here. So domestic markets are growing. They're bringing more people into the dive industry, and those people are all going to want to come here as soon as they can. What do we got?
All right, Julian.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How many people are on Koh Tao now?
Oh, hey, Carl. How many people are on Koh Tao? A few.
Is it noticeable since it's since the Samui thing? Hello,
yeah,
Hayden.
we're definitely having some of the lampreyas come through. A bit fuller now. There definitely are some unfamiliar faces in the bars again, which is interesting to see. It's kind of the trickle of people leaving is kind of reversed into a trickle of people coming now.
So it's starting.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully I might be back then. Maybe in about October.
Cool.
I've got a holiday booked for Farne Islands in September, so I'll have to wait till after that.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've got a question in the chat from HP about where do we dive in India. So we do have 2 programs running in India, which are in the Andaman Islands and I forget the other one. If you check, I don't run the Indian program. That is Mark that runs the programs in India. But if you check on the Dive Careers website, which is dive-careers.com, you can see all of the programs that we're currently running in India. Cool. Any other questions? No.
Hey, Julian, sorry. How long does the tech training take? The equipment maintenance.
The equipment maintenance. So doing the level 1 aqualung course, you can do that in about 8 hours. So they usually do it in a day, but it is a fair bit of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it takes a while to get your head around. But it's only 8 hours of training?
Yeah, and that certifies you to level 1. So that is basically maintaining all of the sort of your standard rental equipment. So like the Calypso regs that we have in the shop. It's not going to do your higher end ones that have more pieces. But it definitely makes you able to service a standard set of rental equipment in a dive shop, which is obviously the most important bit.
Awesome. Okay. And is there like a level 2 and a level 3, or is it just like level 1?
Yeah, there are levels. If you want to really do, just about everything, there is the ACIT course that is run out of Pattaya. That kind of you can do everything. You can take the compressor apart. You can take any reg apart, and that starts to take a lot of time.
Right. Okay. And the compressor, is there like compressor training?
Yep, there's compressor training, and they're brand specific as well.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much.
Question from Megan. Once you've done the Divemaster course, how long does an IDC take to complete. So there's a couple things to look at here. Your Divemaster course can be quite flexible. We usually run them up to about 6 to 8 weeks. They can be done on a much tighter schedule than that, but you miss some of the experience that goes along with it. The real things that are going to come in here are the number of dives you have. So to finish a Divemaster program and be signed off, you must have a minimum of 60 log dives. And then for your instructor course, you need to have 100 dives. So it all depends on that. But if you have 100 dives, which typically almost everyone does that does their Divemaster program with us, because there is so much diving to be done, you can start your instructor course the day you finish your Divemaster course and get straight into that if that's what you'd like to do. And that takes about 2 weeks to do the instructor course. The only other limiting factor in that is for your instructor course, your open water certification needs to have been at least 6 months ago. So you can't ram it all together in 2 months. From your first time diving, it needs to be 6 months there.
Hi, Julian. Do you have to do the Divemaster in order to go to the dive instructor course?
Yes, the Divemaster is a prerequisite for being an instructor. It doesn't necessarily have to be PADI. If you've done training with another agency, you can come in and do your instructor with us. But yes, it is quite linear, Divemaster before instructor.
Okay. So I've got some wrong information here.
Oh, yeah? Ben Daniels, is there a local source / contact for PADI merchandise in Thailand? Mr. Neil Richards, come on down.
Merchandise as in sort of PADI t-shirts and caps and items like that. We do have the PADI store where you can purchase items like that. And a lot of those items are made from recycled fishing nets and things like that. So it's very cool. The only trouble is when you're making a purchase online, it's going to be coming from the States, which means that you will have to pay probably some import duties, which can vary depending on I suppose who's in charge at the time. So just be a little bit wary of ordering on there because of those reasons. But that is something that we're working on to try and get sort of distributors in different places around the world so we can avoid those import duties for you. Hope that answered it, Ben.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. It's almost impossible to get anything in Thailand right now. It's taking weeks to come through. I tried to order things open water with my children and tried to get them some PADI memorabilia, and it was weeks and weeks. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to do that. And I know with some of the dive shops having to sort of move on, shall we say, the pastures new over the last couple of years, there's a dearth of merchandise. You can't get anything. There's no PADI gear anywhere. You can't beg, borrow, or steal it, even from the existing dive shops. They don't have anything. Yeah, for sure. It's something that as I said, we're working on that. The actual shop online, if you go on there, is fantastic now, where they've been putting a lot of effort into it. It is just that distributing it to to people outside of the States and Sydney, Australia. So working on it. All to come. No worries, for sure.
So Julian, I have a day job and just wanted to check. So if you're talking about coming to Thailand now, you're looking at 7 days in the sandbox. So for the instructor course, typically, how long does it take? I mean,
so the instructor course, we typically run it over 2 weeks. Now, if you do the online learning section and you feel pretty confident already, we can definitely be flexible with that. you know, we could cut a few days off because you've already completed a lot of the work online. So yeah, so flying into Samui, if you are vaccinated, it would be 1 week there, and then you can come straight over to Koh Tao. And so if there is a little bit of overlap with the course, we can work around that. But yeah, basically about 2 weeks after those start dates are the instructor exams.
Right. So how do I go about? Do I go directly to PADI to register for that, or to Simple Life?
Yeah, if you want to send me an email, and my email's right on the screen there, we can go through all the details of it and exactly what you would need to do. We'll look at just all your prior experience and see what package makes the most sense for you.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Julian.
Cool. Or we can call each other another time too if you wanted to talk longer about it. That's cool with me.
Sure. Thanks.
Cool.